Ok, clase, para este video vamos a hablar sobre la condicional, the conditional tense en español. Alrighty, so first off, the conditional tense is used to describe a conditional action, and what I mean by that is simply that the conditional tense describes what would take place. Think more things in the future, not necessarily in the past. Okay, so in the future, like what would take place? I would go to the party, but I don't have money. If I were president, I would, create candy day or whatever, You know what I'm saying. Future tense. Think that. So the first step would be, in order to form it, you take a verb in the infinitive, just like the future tense. Okay, and I put just examples of infinitives right here. Hablar, comer, ir, vivir. So take any verb in the infinitive. And step 2 would simply be add the correct ending, which your endings in this case are ia, ias, ia, iamos, ia. Okay? So it functions just like the future tense. All you have to do is take a verb in the infinitive and add the appropriate endings. Ia, ias, ia, iamos, ian. Don't these look familiar? These actually are your imperfect tense endings for ER and IR verbs, if you remember. So let's just do one as an example. Let's conjugate the verb ir, which means to go. Yo iría, I would go. Tú irías, you would go. Él or ella iría, he or she would go. Nosotros iríamos, we would go. Ellos, ellas irían, they would go. So again, just a few things to note down here. The conditional tense functions just like the future. All you have to do is add endings to the infinitive. That's it. So don't take anything off. Okay, just add the endings. Also, notice that, again, just like the future tense, the endings are the same for AR, ER, and IR verbs. Also, last note I put on here, please notice that every ending has an accent mark. Please note to self. That'd be easy to remember because they all do, right? Okay, here's just más práctica right here. Let's take the verbs hablar, comer, and vivir. Again, totally different verbs. We have one that's an AR, one that's an ER, and one that's an IR, and yet, how beautiful is this? They all have the same endings. Woohoo! Just gorgeous. Ia, ias, ia, iamos, ian. So again, don't take anything off the verb. The verb stays as is, and then just add your endings. Okay, now here is some practica. All right, it gives you the verb in parentheses that you need to conjugate in the conditional tense. The answers will be on the next slide, or the translations rather, I'm sorry. So yo nunca, take the verb vivir. What's the ending you're going to add for the yo form? And it is vivería. Yo nunca vivería en el campo. The second one, Rosita sacaría una buena nota en la clase, pero no estudia. Número 3, nosotros comeríamos la comida, pero somos vegetarianos. Número 4, con más días de vacaciones, ellos irían a la playa. And número 5, ustedes, or ellos, ellas, ustedes estudiarán más sin la televisión en casa. So I would never live in the country. That was número 1. Rosita would get a good grade in class, but she doesn't study. That was número 2. We would eat the food, but we are vegetarians. Number 3. With more vacation days, they would go to the beach. Número 4. And then finally, número 5, they would study more without the TV in the house. All right, so those are just some translations. Now, like always, we have irregular verbs. Dun, dun, dun. But this is really awesome. If you did well with the future tense, you're going to do splendid with the conditional, because the irregular verbs for the future are also the same irregulars for the conditional. I'll put that note right here. They're the exact same. So if you can remember their stems from the future, you'll remember them for the conditional, or vice versa. Decir becomes dir, and then you add the ending. Hacer becomes ar, and then you add the ending. Poder becomes poder, and then you add the ending. Poner becomes this, then you add the ending. Salir, tener, venir, querer, and saber. So here is what all you have to do is change them slightly to this and then add your endings. They were the same for the future tense if you remember that. Okay? And then note I, which means there is, in the conditional, it becomes habría for there would be. So there would be a party, but we're not going to have one. Okay? And then, like I said, just add the appropriate endings. So it becomes, if you wanted to say, I would say or tell, I would tell my mom, but I don't want to. Yo diría, I would tell. Yo diría. Say you want to say, I don't know, we would leave. Saldríamos. Saldríamos. We would leave and then finish the sentence, but we don't want to. Or something like that. What's another one? You would make, who knows? Yo harías. I'm sorry, tú harías. You would make and then finish the sentence. So again, it's very simple. For regular verbs, just keep it as is and then add the ending. For irregulars, just change them to this in the red box and then add your endings, just like the future tense. Again, so if you did well on the future tense, you're going to do fabulous with the conditional. If you struggled a little bit with the future, make sure you really grasp it with the conditional because they function the same way. But we'll discuss más of this en clase mañana. Entonces, adiós, chao y Dios te bendiga.